Hi, welcome to Grow New Plants. So today I'm going to do another herb, which is one I've never done before. It's rosemary. So I've got a huge rosemary plant, but it's not really I've had another rosemary plant before that I ended up losing, but it had the big fat leaves. This has got little skinny leaves on it. So I want a different kind, and I think I have the seeds for the kind that I want. So I'm going to try growing it myself. And I really love rosemary. If I get a bunch of these, I'll probably actually plant some in my flower beds around the house. Probably I may sell a few of them. I'll give some to friends because everybody loves a rosemary plant. They're great for herbs and cooking, and I like taking them and putting them on like potatoes and stuff like that. It's a great herb to have. So I've got seeds, and I've got a 32 cell Rootmaker tray. So I'm going to move the cameras in, and I'll just go over how we're going to plant them, and then I'm going to hold on to this video till I get plants up, so it'll all be one video. Okay, so I did a little bit of reading on this, and they say rosemary is a relatively hard seed to germinate. So I did cold stratify these. I bought these, but they had been stored dry, and so I went ahead and took them and I stored them in the refrigerator for probably about a month. And I just took them out recently, like in the last hour or so. And what I decided I'm going to do, because they say the germination rate is really low on them, and I got a lot of seeds, so I'm just going to sprinkle a fingerful of seeds in every cell. And then if a ton of them come up, if I need to, I can thin them out. I may let some of them stay in multiples. So I'm just, to give myself my best chance. So I'm just going to sprinkle, like maybe anywhere from 4 to 5 seeds, I guess, is what I'm end up getting in here. I'm going to have way more seeds than what I need. So I'll fast forward through this part here. Okay, so honestly, I probably got somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10 seeds in each of these, which is a lot. I'm just going to come through here and gently push this down a little bit to get good soil contact with those seeds. And then I'm just going to add a little tiny bit of soil back on top. So I know I got a lot of seeds in here, but if multiples germinate, I can go in there and thin them out to where there's maybe like 3 or so in each thing. The seeds are not expensive, so I'm not out anything. I'm just giving myself a better chance of getting something to germinate in every cell. So they say the recommended depth for these is 1/4 inch. But by the time I pack these down a little bit and then add a little bit of soil on top, they're going to be close. And I've seen a lot of people that grow them that they just basically sprinkle them on top and put a light layer of soil across the top. They say they need light to germinate, so if they're too deep, they'll never germinate. So I've just got a little bit more of my soil here. I'm just going to kind of lightly sprinkle that, and it just looks different because this soil was a little more moist. So I'm just going to sprinkle some of this across the top of it, and then I'll water it in, and then I'm going to put them in the greenhouse on the same shelves that I grow all my tomatoes and peppers and all that. The tomatoes are done, they're ready to go. And then the peppers are getting close. I haven't up-potted the peppers yet, but they're getting there. Probably need to do that within a week or so. And then I've also got some oregano that I'm going to do. Probably won't do that today, but I'll do that pretty soon too. And so like I said, I'm going to hold on to this video, and then I'll post it when I have results, because I know this would be kind of a boring video just showing me throwing seeds into a container. So I got my dram mister here. I'm sure if you watch my videos, you see this thing. I'm always talking about how much I love this dram mister. And if you watch real close there, it's so gentle, it just doesn't really destroy the soil much. I just want to get these things moist enough to where those seeds are the seeds themselves are getting moist. And I'm not going to worry about watering these all the way through down to the bottom, because inside the greenhouse I've got regular irrigation heads that come on. And right now I got them set that they just water like 10 minutes every morning, and everything in there seems to be doing great with that. As it gets hotter in the summer, I may have to either increase that time or water them a second time, but right now everything seems to be doing great with it. So anyway, we'll come back. I think if I remember correctly, somewhere around 3 weeks is about the earliest you'll start seeing any germination on these. And I'm not sure about the time of the year. You know, it's Texas and it's third week of May, so it's probably getting up into the upper 80s, low 90s on most days. The greenhouse is probably staying around 90 degrees most of the day. So that's up higher, I guess. So I think they'll be okay. So I'm gonna take them, sit them in the greenhouse, and we'll be back in, I'm guessing, like maybe 4 to 6 weeks. Then I should have them big enough to where we can see results. Hi, welcome back to Grow New Plants. So today I'm going to up-pot the rosemary plants. I did these, I think in the video before I said 4 to 6 weeks. These have actually been almost 3 months, like a little bit less than 3 months. They're a little bit slow to grow, but I did have relatively good success from what I was expecting with germination on them. So I think I got all but one cell that had nothing come up. There's a few that had little tiny plants in them, but one cell that had absolutely nothing. So I'm gonna take them and I'm gonna up-pot most of them into 1 gallon Rootmaker containers. I've got 2 people I'm gonna give some to. I'm gonna keep one for myself to replace the rosemary plant that I have, because this ended up being the kind that I was hoping it would be with the big fat leaves and everything. So I'm gonna get reset up and we'll start up planting them. Okay, so if you look at these a little bit closer, take the overhead look here. I've got, like that one's got 1, 2, 3, 4 that came up. That one had 1 big one, 1 little one, big one, 2 little ones. So I would say the vast majority of them had at least 2 come up. Some of them had as many as 4, I guess. That one had quite a few. That has a ton of them, but they're all real little except that one. There's 2 there. Big one, little one, big one, little one, big one, little one. And I guess they're competing with each other is the reason that I got big ones and little ones. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take, I've got my regular up-pot soil. So I'm gonna take my regular potting soil mix, which is a 75% fine bark mulch and 25% peat moss with my Awesome Coat and my Rootmaker fertilizer inside of that. So I'm going to take these, and I've tried this before in the past and it works pretty good. So I'm going to pick out a couple nice ones to start with, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 3 of the bigger ones and plant them around in one of these 1 gallon pots. And then eventually, once they root these pots out, I'll move them into bigger pots for container grown ones. One of my friends I'm giving this to, he's going to put them in a raised bed eventually, so I'll let him grow it out in here first. Once it roots this pot out, then we'll go into, he can move it into a raised bed. So I'm going to start out, let's try this one right here. And they're rooted out pretty good. I mean, it's not, they're wet, so I didn't try and pull them out. I didn't want to break them, but they're rooted out pretty decent. So I think, yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go kind of close to the edge of the pot with this. And then here's another one that's very similar in size. Again, rooted out pretty nice, not bad at all. We'll go there, and I'll do one more. If I can find one that's similar. This has got a couple little ones and one pretty good sized one, so I'll go with it. Again, all the roots look pretty similar. They're pretty shallow roots on these. I think I'm going to go with that right there. Let me move these more towards the inside. That ought to work. So then I'll just come around and fill in around this. There, that ought to make a pretty nice little. And hopefully these things being having the roots disturbed and being repotted into the fresh soil with fresh fertilizer, they ought to take off and start rooting a lot better and quicker now too. So I'll do a couple of these on camera. Okay, I have to apologize for my audio in the first part of this. I'm gonna have to take it off of the GoPro. because I forgot to turn my wireless mic on. So look at the rooster system was really good on that one. That was deep. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to put 3 in a pot. So basically, I'm going to get 3 of these done for my 2 friends that I'm going to give them to. And then I'm going to keep 1 for myself. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start them out in these 1-gallon pots. And I may end up keeping them in a 1-gallon pot over the winter. And then in the spring, when they put out a new flush of roots, then I'll take them and move them up into my big pot that I keep on my patio with my rosemary plant. So I'm going to take my old rosemary plant and I'm going to do away with it. I'm just going to take it, strip all the leaves off of it and dry them. Still tastes good. I just don't like the way it looks. I don't like the way that it grows. So there's another nice looking plant. I guess I'll probably just make up all of these into 1-gallon pots. I could take them and move them up into like 4-inch Rootmaker containers and let them grow out, but I really honestly don't know if there's much point in that. And I don't know whether doing this way is the right way to do it. As far as putting multiple plants in one pot, there's a lot of, I don't want to say controversy, but a lot of people will say, no, you should just be 1 plant in there. And I'm going to let these things grow out for a while, but then I will eventually prune the tips of them off to get them to start branching out. But I'm going to let them grow and get roots going first, and then I'll come back and start pruning them just to kind of shape them up. But I really want just a big bush that grows up and not out and crazy like my old rosemary plant does. Okay, so there's 3 of them. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll fast forward through planting the rest of them up, and then we'll come back and take a look at what we got. Okay, so I had some other smaller ones that I'll probably just leave in there. If they end up growing up big enough, I may replant them and keep them inside over the winter. But ended up with 7 1-gallon pots, put 3 plants or 3 cells in each one, but they've all got multiple plants in them. Some got more than others. So I'll get these watered in good, and I'll probably give them a little bit of shade for a week or so to let them adjust. Then I'll start giving them full sun. These have been in the greenhouse the whole time, so they may take off and grow quite a bit better once I get them outside. So, and I probably will protect these over the winter. Probably will not plant them in the ground or anything like that. This year I'll keep them in the greenhouse or keep them in the garage over the winter to protect them a little bit longer, and then they'll be ready to be planted out next fall or next spring. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this. I appreciate you watching. Please like, please share, please subscribe. Thank you.